Okay. At this point, we're going to close our laptops, and I need us to have our next blank page open in our notebook. Okay. So, yesterday, we started our food science lesson. We talked about things like where does the food came from. We talked about dairy and eggs and meat, and we're going to continue that conversation by talking about different types of food preservation. Something that I realize that is going to potentially be confusing is that we just learned the word preservation in natural resources, and now we're going to use it a little bit differently. Can someone tell me how we define preservation when we talk about natural resources? Yes, so protecting something without using it. Food preservation is a little bit different, but with the same key ideas. You're protecting it, and it is preserved while you're not using it, but it's protecting it that way you can use it in the future, that way it stays good and doesn't harm you. Okay, so we're going to go through, we're going to look at 6 different types of preservation. Okay, so that is going to include canning, pasteurization, refrigeration, dehydration, fermentation, and freezing. You do not have to write this down. Okay, today we're going to go through the first 3. So it's going to be canning, pasteurization, refrigeration. On Monday, we're going to finish up with dehydration, fermentation, and freezing. And then these are just various methods to keep food from spoiling. In general, as we're looking at these, we're either going to be removing oxygen or we'll be removing moisture. Those are really the only 2 ways to prevent food from spoiling. Now, what you're going to do in your notebook, scroll all the way to the top. On the next blank page in your notebook, you're going to title it Food Preservation. So yes, you do need a pen or pencil. As preservation, Preservation. Then you're going to go ahead, you're going to split your paper into 6. So line down the middle, give your paper abs. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now your paper's buff. Yeah, your paper. Okay. This is because there's 6 different types of preservation that we're going to look at. Each time we get to a new one, we're going to fill one of these boxes with our information. For those of you that are ready, our very first one is going to be canning. So in that box number 1, we're going to title it Canning, Canning. Yep, for canning. Or sorry, Caning. No double N. Okay. No double N. I know, that's not why. Am I wrong? Oh, is it? It's a double N. I spelled it wrong and then I spelled it right.
I covered it with pen.
It's canning with 2 N's. Okay. To start, we're going to do a little bit of like a convoluted think, pair, share. What that means is that this is our think portion. I've told you that the word is canning. We've all experienced this at some point out in the wild. I want you to try with your prior knowledge to define the word canning and give me 2 examples of things that are canned. You have 1 minute to give me 1 definition and 2 examples. 2 examples. Define what is canned.
That's your thing. Canned sandwiches. People put sandwiches in a can, ready to go.
Oh yeah, there also is a cast in a can. A cast in a can.
Oh, there's canned what?
A cast.
Cast?
So 1 definition
It
and
was used
2
by
examples.
soldiers in both World Wars in case somebody broke their arm or leg or anything.
Doesn't have to be perfect,
There's like
doesn't
a
have to be
plaster
right.
that solidify like
Do your best.
1 or 2 minutes, and you'll be good to go. Instead of anything in the arm.
No, I liked how everyone was like, canning is canned food, and everyone said it at the same time. Okay. That being said, let's hear 2 definitions. I need 2 people's volunteers for definitions. Grace, what is canning?
It is when you seal food in a can so the oxygen doesn't get in and it can spoil faster.
Very good job. So it's when you seal food in a can so that oxygen can't get in and make it spoil faster. Very good job. Can I hear one more definition, even if it's the exact same, or you agree, or even if it's completely different? Reese.
Preserving a food item in a can or jar and taking all the air.
Very good job, because it does include jarring. It is removing all of the air. It's kind of like vacuum sealing. So if you were not able to get a definition, or if you find that yours doesn't cover enough, the definition is now on the board. So canning is a method of food preservation that applies heat to food in a can or glass jar and removes air from the jar to create a seal. Has anyone ever used a vacuum sealer before?
I have.
Yeah. So whether it's to vacuum seal your clothes when you're moving, or to just vacuum seal, especially if you're going to sous vide something, that's when you would vacuum seal something.
I don't use it on steaks.
Oh, to cook it in water, right? Yeah, that's sous vide. Isn't that cool? But yeah, so it's kind of like vacuum sealing. Okay, so this kills bacteria that may be on the food, especially because it's heating it. It's like cooking it. That way it's cooked and then it's sealed. That way there's no way anything else can get in. Okay, and then it removes oxygen to prevent growth. This is keeping the good food in and keeping the microorganisms that cause spoilage out. Yes, Lacey? No, if you feel that yours is close enough to this, then that's fine with me. As long as you understand that it is heating the food and sealing it inside a can or jar, then that works for me. What were some of the examples that we wrote down? Edmund?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes, that's a great example. Maggie? Pineapple, absolutely. Reese?
Apricot jelly.
Apricot jelly, very specific. Evan? Chef Boyardee, absolutely. Canned soup, absolutely.
A canned sandwich.
A canned sandwich, have you encountered this?
Yeah.
Okay.
A canned cast.
What?
Yes.
A canned what?
A cast. A canned
Cast?
used by soldiers in both world wars in case someone
Oh.
broke their arm in the middle of the battlefield.
I don't know if that's food preservation, though.
Well, it's still a canned object.
It still is a canned object. Okay, Edmund? SpaghettiOs, absolutely. Key. Corn, absolutely.
Pickles.
Pickles. We'll do one more. Beans, very good job. Okay, we are going to watch a video to have a better understanding of what canning is and a little bit of the history of it. Okay, and then we're going to play a game with the whiteboards that are at some of your tables. I'll pass them around to the rest of your tables. What is it, Reese? Don't worry about it. We'll save it for the game. Okay, let's get our movie theater voices. We don't want to be kicked out, and I need someone to turn the lights off. Martin, go. Edmund's on a movie theater voice. It's fake yelling. Chloe has her movie theater voice. Thank you. Emily's got it. Just hit it once.
Behold, canned food. But where did it come from? Meet Nicolas Appert, born in France in 1749. Today, Nicolas Appert is known as the father of canning. But before he began preserving food, Nicolas tried several other careers, including a stint as a chef and a brewer. His experience working with food brought him face to face with one of the unpleasant realities of food. It spoils. Depending on the climate, it can spoil very quickly. At this time, the chief preservation method had several disadvantages. These methods altered the taste of food, and they were not always effective. Yet, preserved food was a vital supply during the harsh European winters. Preservation was also a huge problem for the military. Such a problem that in 1800, Napoleon Bonaparte offered an award of 12,000 francs to anyone who could invent a better way to preserve food for his armies. Nicholas learned that food can be preserved by using heat to sterilize the food in closed vessels. Here's how it worked. Nicholas placed food in a glass jar or bottle and corked it, sealing the lid. He then placed the container in boiling water for several hours, depending on the type of food he was preserving. Heat preservation may sound simple today, but he won Napoleon's prize. He also used the money to build the first cannery and wrote a book about his process.
Alrighty. Now, for our game, I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute. On the whiteboard in the middle of your table, you can have 2 people write at the same time or just one person write. you are all going to brainstorm lots of different things that can be canned. Let me make sure I have your attention. And you're not going to throw my markers. Okay. So we're going to brainstorm all of the different things that can be canned. Whichever group has the longest list wins. What questions do we have?
I got you.
Hold on. Then let me make sure that you can hear me. Okay. If someone has a question, I'm going to be able to answer it, but I can't yell over you. Okay. So you have 1 minute. As a group, you have to brainstorm all the different items that can be canned. Foods. Food items. Okay. When I set the timer. Okay. On your marks. Yes, Sophia. Yes. Okay. On your marks, get set, go.
You do it.
I know. I remember people were talking about it very
That's why I started writing.
Oh, crazy cheater. She never cheated. She didn't even know the game.
It was before. She never cheated.
30 seconds.
Wait. Let me run.
I'll do corn.
Just right.
Eyeballs and all in my dog. Oh, every
White.
he can go in the door.
3, 2, 1.
I said,
I think we
Alrighty, count up your list and write down how many different things you have and circle it. Write down the number and circle it.
12.
Okay, very good job. Write it down.
No, I'm not.
14.
4, 5.
Already did. I did.
Okay.
The cheating table.
It's not
cheating.
It's not cheating.
We're not cheating.
9.
It's using your resources.
Alright, so to be fair, Grace remembered my game from last year and started writing a list before I even started. But what's going to happen is that they do have the longest list. We're going to let them read it. If there's anything on your list that they don't mention, feel free to raise your hand and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so I need someone to read it at the sun table.
Soup, strawberry jelly, blueberry jelly, tomatoes, boyardee, spaghettios, corn, beans, chili, radishes, orange jelly, pickle, sandwiches, and ham.
Very good job. Is there anything that you guys wrote down that they missed? Edmund? Okay, okay, so eyeballs in a jar from movies. That's true. I don't know if that's sold in like the store. Okay, Reese?
It's not on our list, but can I mention it?
Mention it. Quickly.
I forgot, sorry.
Maggie? Yes, say a couple.
Corn, oranges, apricot, spam, and peas.
Alright, very good job. Yeast. Tuna. Tuna's a great example. Okay, and then Reese go.
Honey.
Honey's a very good example. Okay, let's make sure to take our seats and get eyes up on the board. Okay, so the examples that I had are on the board. So things like fruits, so we have things like canned peaches, pears, mandarin oranges, pineapple, grapefruit, fruit cocktail. Vegetables like canned corn I heard mentioned, green beans we mentioned, but things like mushrooms or carrots, beets I didn't hear. Did anyone write down beets? Maybe asparagus? Okay, and this is the time where I tell you, if anyone goes to the Winter Garden Farmers Market, there is a man that sells spicy pickled asparagus, spicy pickled okra. All of these things are jarred, which means that they're canned. Okay, things like tomatoes. I know Edmund mentioned tomatoes, and then okra. We have grains, so I know that pastas and soups were mentioned a bunch of times. Did anyone mention evaporated milk or condensed milk? No. Okay, so we missed one. So there's plenty of dairy that's canned, and then like Guy mentioned, we have things like canned tuna as well as sardines, chicken, baked beans, chickpeas, and lentils. So very good job. Moving on, we're now going to be in our second box. So right next to canning, you have your second box. This is going to be pasteurization. P-A-S-T-E-U-R-I-Z-A-T-I-O-N. Yes. Yes, it's spelled right this time. Okay. And we should be a little bit familiar because one of our groups covered pasteurization for biotechnology. Who did that?
Nah, he's a liar.
Maybe that's not what we skipped in this room. We lost people. Okay. So we did cover this for biotechnology, and I know that this is the one that we're going to be least familiar with. But now that we have it written down, see if you can write a definition. See if you can conjure some ideas. It's okay if you're like, I have no idea what this word means. But I want you to think, because we've all at least seen this word if you've ever been in a grocery store. This is on a lot of products, a lot of different staples. So take the time, write a definition if you can, and give me 2 examples. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, go.
It's a mechanical. Yo, that's not coming off. That's not coming Go with the side.
Already 10 seconds to try to get a definition or some examples.
I do not have a definition. I don't know.
I wasn't
Yes.
I still have the paper because last year I did ideas.
Nice.
So I still have that paper.
Alrighty. Let me see if someone can tell me a definition. Who knows pasteurization? Let me make sure they're all paying attention. Let me get Maggie's attention. Okay, great. So what is pasteurization?
It's when you take bacteria or like germs out of something like milk or alcohol.
Okay, so 2 very good examples. Yes, milk and alcohol will be mentioned. And then it's a way of removing bacteria. Does anyone know how? By pasteurizing. Right, Grace, do you know how?
They heat it so everything gets out.
Yes, very good job. So, it's the process of heating a liquid, typically milk. Milk is our best example for this, especially in the United States. So if you were not able to get a definition, you're writing this in now. So it's the process of heating something to a temperature that kills germs, then cooling it quickly. Yes, this can sound similar to canning. Okay, I realize that canning is heating it, and then you're sealing it, and now it's in a can or in a jar. The difference with pasteurization is that 1, it doesn't necessarily have to be canned or jarred. 2, there's a real focus on cooling it quickly. Because we're going to look at products that are typically sold cold, and a lot of times you don't want them cooked. You don't want cooked milk. You don't want cooked eggs. Okay? Yes, Evan?
Is that how it works when you like put wine in some food? It like gets a hot temperature, evaporates all the alcohol.
That's more just evaporation. Yeah. But you're right. Like sometimes you'll season food with wine and it's not alcoholic because it burns off. But this is different because it's just killing the bacteria that cause it to spoil. So, and that's also, and let me preface, because when we do our game, people like to start writing down hard liquors. Those are not pasteurized. They have too high of an alcohol content to grow bacteria. Okay? So, let's get our movie theater voices. Edmund's gonna get kicked out of the movie theater.
Here's a question. Who invented pasteurized milk? You said Louis Pasteur. You're only half right. Pasteur invented the process that carries his name, but he had no interest in milk. All he cared about was beer. In 1856, Lille, France is a beer town, and there's big trouble brewing. Beer keeps going bad, and no one knows why. Louis Pasteur is a chemistry professor in Lille, and he's studying fermentation, a hot topic at the time. Scientists aren't sure how sugar turns into alcohol, but Pasteur thinks there's life involved. The scientist takes samples of beer from local breweries and studies them under his microscope. He looks at fresh beer and spoiled beer, again and again. For over a year, he looks for living creatures that hurt or help the alcohol. Finally, a breakthrough. Pasteur finds a key difference between good beer and bad. Good beer is full of round yeast cells, and spoiled beer is swimming with long microbes. Pasteur heats the bad beer and finds something amazing. Heating the beer for only a few minutes kills the bad microbes. This simple technique becomes known as pasteurization, and is soon adopted for beer and wine. Pasteur thinks scientists should share their discoveries, not patent their ideas, but he changes his tune when he needs money for his laboratory. He applies for a U.S. patent on May 9, 1873, and uses the proceeds to fund his work. So where does the milk come in? Surprisingly, pasteurization doesn't hit the dairy industry for decades. Americans fear the new technology. They think it will destroy vitamins and make milk taste bad. So they want nothing to do with pasteurization. That all changes at the turn of the century. Scientists discover that cows can spread disease through their milk. Even worse, bad milk is linked with the deadliest disease of the day, tuberculosis. By 1907, scientists know that heating the milk can stop tuberculosis cold. Soon, Pasteur's process is the law of the land. Milk will never be the same. Americans drink more than 6 billion gallons of milk a year, and it hardly ever makes them sick. Less than 1% of disease outbreaks are caused by bad milk. For that, we can thank Louis Pasteur and his pursuit of better beer.
Why does everyone always clap after that one? So weird. There was same thing happened last period. Okay. Once again, you're gonna have 1 minute. I realize that this list will probably be a lot shorter, but do your best and go.
Wait, what am I?
She's helping. Contributing. She's contributing.
After hating this table all year, she's like, now's my time.
I'm not jealous.
Listen.
I do. You never talked about whatever she put out there. Okay. I have the memory of a goldfish, okay? Yeah. You taught this to me in 6th grade, and I totally forgot about it. Okay, I didn't cheat. Sorry, not sorry, but I totally forgot. That's all I remember.
The definition of happy.
Less than 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Doing the other one.
Alrighty, count it up. Write your number down and circle it. I don't remember who read. You guys read. You won. Yeah, you won the other one. 8, 14 again. What do we have back here? 8. What do we have over at your table? Alright, so I'll go around 8 or 9, and then the sun table once again crush. So we're gonna let them read. If they miss anything, make sure to let us know. 14. I think they're cheap. I mean, she is, but like in an honorable way. So we're gonna let Grace read. Let's make sure that we can hear her.
Milk, yogurt, ice cream, butter, whipped cream, eggs, apple juice, cranberry juice, grape juice, pineapple juice, beer, wine, and orange juice.
Very good job. So that's some advice that I gave to some of you as I passed by. You can get really specific because we know that milk is pasteurized, so then all dairy is usually pasteurized. That being said, there's plenty of cheeses that are not. You can get unpasteurized goat milk or unpasteurized goat cheese. A lot of cheese sommeliers can get different types of ones. But remember that tuberculosis is a little dangerous. Yes, I know what we missed. Okay, yeah, great at being specific. Logan. Kombucha is a great one. Good job. No, told you hard liquor already has too much alcohol in it. Yes. Okay, we're not. I told you specifically to not do that, and I know that Logan
I don't
finished
know
it.
what that is.
No, not Logan. Okay, let's take a look at my examples. Let's get eyes on the board, butts and seats. Okay, let me get Guy's attention. Thank you so much. So we have eggs and egg products. Shout out to anyone that got eggs. This is the one that I feel like we've probably mostly seen. Grade A pasteurized eggs. It's on the outside of almost every carton. Okay, we have things like juice. We have alcoholic and fermented beverages, but not hard liquors. But things like beer, wine, cider, and kombucha. Kombucha is a great example. Okay, it has a small percentage. Dairy products, so milk, cheese, butter, ice cream, yogurt, cream, whatever else you guys like. She said a bunch of different types of dairy. Some frozen desserts. One that I keep seeing us miss is any type of imitation meats or deli meat. These are typically pasteurized, but once again, not all the time. So things like sliced turkey, sliced ham, sliced whatever, those would be your deli meats or any type of like imitation crab. Okay, we have nuts, so like almonds and peanuts. And then flour is another one that a couple people have gotten today. But flour is typically pasteurized, so it will be turned into flour and then it gets heated and cooled. Yes, Edmund?
An almond isn't a nut.
It's a legume though, right?
Why was it going
Yeah, so legumes. I'm sorry, I used a more normal word.
It was like going down.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
What's the
finicky
thought?
shape. Let's move on to the next one, and this is our last one. And this one you should be most familiar with. This is going to be refrigeration. So this is box number 3 in your notebook. It's going to be refrigeration. refrigeration. Refrigeration.
Is it just keeping stuff cold?
Keep in mind that it is different from freezing. Okay, so yes, it's keeping stuff cold, but not necessarily freezing. So take the time, write a definition and 2 examples. Okay?
Is like all the food that needs to be refrigerated? That's all like the example?
Yeah, you can put anything. There we go. All right, and there's plenty of things that have multiple types of preservation, right? We've already seen eggs, but we know we can probably use eggs again, right? Even though eggs are fresh, we left them in the counter for 2 months.
I don't know what else.
Yeah. So like the chickens that my mom had to sell yesterday, she never refrigerates her eggs. They just get left on the counter.
Wait, do you have to like, so are those already pasteurized?
They just don't need to be pasteurized because the reason that the reason that eggs have to be refrigerated from like a farm is because they get spray washed and it takes off the natural seal that they have because when they come out they have this natural seal that keeps them fine. But when they spray it and they put on a fake one, it doesn't last as long. Alrighty, let me get 2 definitions. Edmund. Oh, that's a good example. Very good job. So we refrigerate grapes. What's a definition for refrigeration? Maggie?
Something that's refrigerated, not frozen.
Okay, so something that's refrigerated and not frozen. What does to be refrigerated mean? Edmund, I just heard you say it under your breath. Michael?
To like keep something cool for an extended amount of time.
Yeah, okay, to keep something cool for an extended amount of time. The reason I keep emphasizing that it's not freezing is because when we take the time to look at freezing, these 2 temperatures are going to be different. So even if your definition is perfect, I do want you to add these temperatures to it because they're important. It's important to know that refrigeration is between 36 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit because freezing is going to be down towards 27 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? This process started by placing large chunks of ice into an ice box where it would filter down cool air to keep food cool. We know now that we have different things that are typically gosh, I blanked on this word last time and I'm going to blank on it now. It's going to say it in the video. But we have different types of liquids and chemicals that can keep those pipes cool now that we just rely on electricity instead of having to have ice in our fridges. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so what are some of our examples? Thank you for reminding me. So I know Edmund said grapes. Lemonade. Lemonade should be refrigerated, absolutely. Grapefruit, sometimes, right? And especially it's important to know, and I know that sometimes we'll argue about it, there's plenty of things that can be refrigerated or cannot. Because like grapefruits can be left on the counter, but they'll last longer in the fridge. Compared to like bananas, actually stay worse in the fridge. They should be left on the counter. Grace, what's your example?
Raspberries.
Raspberries are a great example. Edmund? Dragon fruit. Yes, Emily? I'm sorry? Meat. Absolutely. Let me make sure that we have your attention because we're listing off some very helpful examples for our game. Evan? Cantaloupe. Yes? Yeah, what's your 2 things?
Say it again, someone else.
Yes. And then what else? Strawberries. Very good job, Sophia. Yogurt. Yes, some types of dairy. It's not just fruits, right? I know that Emily said meats. We're bringing up dairy. Is there any other types of things? Maybe fish. Fish needs to be refrigerated. Okay. Yes, Evan? Melon. Fish is meat. Some people just classify it differently, so I make sure to say both. Okay. So let's get our movie theater voices. Very good job.
This is Dennis Daly with L. David Mark's 101 Epic Events That Shaped Human History. Refrigeration. Back in a moment. The first practical mechanical refrigeration machine is built by American inventor Jacob Perkins in 1834, while the first refrigerated railroad cars are used in the 1840s. The first industries to use refrigeration are breweries in Brooklyn in 1870 and meat packers in Chicago in 1880. The first self-contained home refrigeration unit is marketed by Frigidaire in 1923. Introduction of Freon in the 20s provides a safe refrigerant and greatly expands the home refrigerator market. By the 1940s and 50s, ice wagons and ice boxes are largely a thing of the past. No more ice boxes. Another of L. David Mark's 101 epic events that changed history. I'm Dennis Daly.
Ready. So, same rules as before. You're going to have 1 minute to list all of the things. Keep in mind, pause. Keep in mind that I know that there's things that can or cannot be refrigerated. That's up to your discretion. We're not going to argue with you. That being said, if you say that you refrigerate things like Cheez-Its and popcorn, I think that's cheating. Okay? So there's things that we know that can or cannot that could benefit from it, but if you're just listing like random things, knock it off. Okay, Maggie, what was your question? I'm sorry? Yes, of course. That's a great one. Okay. So I hear some whispering happening, so we'll get ahead of it and start now. Oh, when they go bad?
All the different types of ones. Peanut butter. I mean, banana, right?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, count it up and write your number down. Someone did it last year.
Okay, we're doing out. 24.
27. How many did we get over here?
27?
Yeah, 27. Okay. Alrighty, so our group with 27, let's make sure to all have our listening ears that we can hear what they're saying. Same thing as before. If they missed something, feel free to say it. Do we need that table for me to read it? Yes.
Wait, they got the most?
Yeah, they got the most. Okay. So we have milk, orange juice, apple juice, fish. You wrote milk twice. Alright, 26. Soda, yogurt, lettuce, blackberries, watermelon, lemonade, celery, spelled celery wrong, pork, chocolate milk, watermelon, so we wrote watermelon twice, avocados, cherry, blueberry, cabbage. There are 25.
Wait, including this list, we got 25 because we did a lot of the same.
Okay. Okay, no worries. I'll finish reading and you can tell me what we missed. Okay. Avocados, cherry, blueberry, cabbage, tomatoes, carrots, dragon fruit, strawberries, peach, lemon, lime, and grapes. Very good job. Thank you. Alright, what did we miss? What did you guys have?
Root beer, chicken, soy sauce, half and half, creamer, beef, pork, cod, salmon, cantaloupe, grapes, tomatoes, pickles, lettuce,
Pickles are good ones. Good job.
corn,
Good job. Maggie, what did you get?
cheese, mozzarella,
Good job.
turkey.
Turkey, good job.
Ham, meat, fish, orange juice. Did they say orange juice?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, this is something I see in the store.
What do you see in the store?
Passion
Yeah, of course.
ice cream.
Ice. Well, that's frozen, right?
Lemons.
Okay.
Some people prefer the ice cream.
Then it wouldn't be icy.
That's just weird.
And then I said steak.
No.
Really? People actually do it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to invalidate ice cream refrigerators. Okay. So, at this point, we're going to get halfway started with dehydration just to make sure that we have time on Monday, because we do have lots to get to before we have our PM testing on Tuesday and Thursday. Okay, I will see you guys Tuesday, but I will not see you Thursday. Okay, Mateo, what's up? Yeah, go. Okay, so let's talk about dehydration. This is box number 4. Okay, that is spelled DEHYDRATION. Dehydration. Okay, now in box number 4, see if you can define dehydration for me. In any context, try to refer it to foods. I know that we've been dehydrated before, right? So think about what that means. And then give me 2 examples of a dehydrated food.
Take an example. It has to be like food related, right?
Yeah. Like I know like sometimes our skin gets dehydrated, we use moisturizer, but it's gonna be a little bit different with food.
Like our raisins have to be like dehydrated.
That's what it comes to boil.
No, not spoil, remember, it's preservation. They're not gonna spoil.
Oh, so
Let's take like 10 more seconds to make sure all of us can get an attempted definition.
Would it just be stuff that you can easily put it up?
take noodles and take it out. It'll be like
Alrighty, let's get a definition for dehydration. How can we define it? Michael?
So like kind of removing all of like the air or liquid inside of the object.
Absolutely. So removing all of the air or liquid from inside the object. Maggie, how would you define it? Same thing? The exact same thing? How would you define it, Grace?
When you remove all the water out of the
Yeah, so when you remove all the water out of the food, what were some of our examples of dehydrated foods? Sophia? Yeah, like dried out strawberries. Absolutely. You can get like trail mix. Grace?
turkey and
Jerky and lentils?
raisins.
Raisins. Absolutely. Yes.
Have you ever seen a dried banana?
Yeah. Like a dried plantain but a banana. Yeah. They have them in like cereal. Yes, Charlie? Banana. Absolutely. Good job. Okay. So dehydration, remember, if you did not get a definition, you're writing it down now, is when all of the water is removed from a food to prevent the growth of bacteria. Many different foods can be dehydrated, but primarily we're going to see things like meat and fruit. If we were to think even further beyond just dehydrated foods that you eat, a lot of rice and beans are dehydrated as well if you can get them in the bag, especially rice. Rice is always dehydrated. And then beans can be if you're that family that cooks their own beans. Okay, some of the most common methods are going to be air drying. So like Michael asked if raisins are, I'm getting ahead of myself. The next most common method is sun drying. Like Michael asked, are raisins dehydrated? Yes, typically when you're seeing that box, it's going to say sun-dried raisins. Or if you've ever had sun-dried tomatoes. Okay, a lot of times you'll get those in soup, so you can get dried soup packets. And then also freeze drying. Maggie, do you want to tell me some examples of foods that are freeze dried?
Dehydrated
So dehydrated peach rings. I heard Skittles back here. Evan, is that what your hand is? Reese, what did you have? The Skittles? I know there's like freeze-dried Laffy Taffy now. You can get it at the Renaissance Festival, whatnot and whatnot. Okay. When we come in on Monday, we're going to watch our video, but it's not time to pack up because we do have to do our weekly task. So Evan's going to re-flip open that notebook. Okay. Your weekly task for today is to list 3 types of food preservation that we learned about. Once you've written that down, you've written down all 5? There's 6 total. What are you missing? Okay, well, as long as you have 3. Okay, once you have that written down, you are free to pack up. I'm going to turn the lights on in 3, 2, One.
Flashbang.